not there. Where did she go? Well, normally I have a live studio audience. Hey everybody, Dr. Steve Young back with you for another video about rhetoric, debate, argumentation, all that stuff. That's what we do here on this channel. Also, I do time lapses sometimes, but not like this. Anyway, how are you guys doing? Post-debate day, post-debate Wednesday. It's Wednesday all day. I'm very happy about that. Very good. I am a professor of rhetoric. Teach argumentation, debate, all that stuff. Study it. And I was going to do a video where I just kind of react to parts of the Trump-Harris debate, but this thing is so long, and I mean, who watches the whole thing? Did you watch the whole thing? Maybe you're better than me. Maybe you're a better person than me, and
Toasty!
You can let me know in the comments. All comments welcome. As somebody who studies debate and rhetoric and don't necessarily need agreement all the time, although agreement's nice to have once in a while. So this video is my reaction to thinking about the debate, or the debate that we saw last night, a reaction to the debate last night from maybe a 35,000 foot perspective, a higher level view, looking down on it, not in the cynical way, but maybe a top-down approach. But it is easy to get cynical about these events. They don't really feel like there's something off about them. There's something not quite right. So I always look with a lot of suspicion at media coverage of these debates, and you find a lot of people giving their commentary who are called debate experts. Now, what is a debate expert? Well, presumably it would be somebody who could tell you who won or lost the debate. How would they determine that? Well, a lot of people who I've seen on LinkedIn, on social media, who are these debate experts, are people who are debate coaches. And a debate coach is someone who runs a competitive debate program or debate team that goes into competition with other high school or college students who are studying this very esoteric, very limited set of rules for what debate should be. At best, you could look at debate competitions as an experiment in a normative theory of debate, which is how should debate look when it's at its best. So you have a lot of carving it down, whittling it down, chopping it down to under the quest of a pure form of debate. There are no audiences at these debate competitions, except for other competitors, to kind of get insight on how to compete better. And the people evaluating them are coaches from other schools, the people who are coaching other teams. So these competitions don't welcome the public and aren't for the public. Now, the changes in the presidential debate model from the Commission on Presidential Debates, which has vanished, kind of evaporated so quickly. The Commission on Presidential Debates, which I'm no fan of, but I'm kind of sad that they've just kind of vanished into thin air. They just kind of vaporized. It's kind of strange. They're just kind of gone. It's a little spooky. They always had a live audience, and the live audience was considered a problem then too. And now, ABC and then this summer CNN, they had no audience at all in their debates they invite the candidates to. And I guess everybody likes that, but no live audience seems a little strange to me. But I mean, the debate experts and debate coaches probably don't think that's strange at all. They like that because that's something very familiar to them. No audience, no public. Public's not invited. But the public can watch the debate. We can watch it on TV. Let's go into some of the questions I have about this debate and about these debate experts and what insight they offer on the debate. And I wonder if you think maybe I fall into this too. I've given comment to the media on debates before, but there's a lot of debate scholarship out there. Lots of books, lots of articles on presidential debates and candidate debates specifically. And it's odd that you don't see any of these debate coaches or people who did college debate who are in a position now commenting on it. They don't reference any of this scholarship at all, not one citation. And you would think if someone was a debate expert, they would know about citation.
Toasty!
And they would want to offer evidence to support these things, not just, I know. It's like the scene from the DNC. It's like, your evidence is trust me, bro. And that's pretty much what these debate experts do. So let's take on the first question that most journalists want to know. And journalists kind of have to be massaged or because they don't know. They aren't trained in debates. They don't really know that debates are often not zero-sum games. It takes a lot of work to make a debate a zero-sum game. A zero-sum game means that there's a winner and a loser. Those are the only two possible results you can have from a zero-sum game. Debates are often not zero-sum games. Like when a committee is debating and there's two or three sides in a corporation about what the fall ad campaign should feature, that debate might not have a winner or a loser. Everyone could lose if the debate goes poorly. Everyone could win if compromise is found. So it's artificial to think of all debates as a binary win-loss. So who won the debate? This is the classic fallacy of begging the question. Can you win a debate? Can you lose a presidential debate? Can you win a debate? And what would be those conditions? It's begging the question because it assumes the more complicated answer has already been dealt with, which is that there are conditions for winning and losing. George W. Bush famously said, I don't think you can win a presidential debate, but you sure can lose them, which I think would be the philosophy of George W. Bush, one of our greatest philosophers. His idea would be that these are not zero-sum games. Can a debate be won? Think about that for a bit. Can a debate be won without conditions on it? I guess when we think of debates that have the most conditions on them, we're thinking about the law. We're thinking about legal practice and courtroom activity. Can those be won or lost in that sense? A lot of times, a lot of our drama, especially in the United States, a lot of our drama is legal drama, and it's about how everyone loses, even if the verdict is the quote-unquote correct verdict. Of course, in jurisprudence theory, any verdict delivered through a proper procedure is justice by definition, but that's an uncomfortable and haunting sense. We're not happy with that. So can a debate be won? Was this a debate? Think about what you saw when you watched the Harris-Trump debate. Was this a debate? What was it? Was it a debate? Here are some of the rules for debate that I think everyone can agree on. One, a topic that can be affirmed or negated. That means the topic can be supported or it can be denied. Not a question. It's never a question. And so-called debate experts know this, that a bad topic is a question. You can't have a debate if you just have a bunch of questions. That's what's called an interview. Right? So I think Sidney Krause, the famous author of televised presidential debates and public policy, famously said, these are joint press conferences, they are not debates. So that's one, a topic they're agreed upon. And then one side has to affirm and one side has to negate. Both sides have to have equal time to construct and rebut. And there should be some kind of judgment at the end of who did the better job. Maybe not who is right or who's true or correct, but who did the better job. And that's who should be supported. Maybe we don't like that result, but they did a better job debating, which makes us all reflect on our positions. What does it mean to win a debate? What would that mean? And how do we know we've seen a winner in a debate? This is all very unclear and not really offered. This is kind of like, this is either begging the question or equivocation, where everyone just kind of thinks the term has the same meaning. The journalist is like, who won the debate, thinking the debate expert knows on a scorecard how to win the debate, and the debate expert allowing that fantasy to continue and not critiquing it, not saying anything about it, and saying, well, I think Kamala Harris won because da-da-da-da. Very odd. It's very odd. How do you win a debate? Well, there's three models that I think float around when we talk about presidential debates. One is the most and best facts model, and these are the journalists like this one, which is we're going to fact check the debate for you. Let me ask you this. Is a debate only a quiz show about who knows the better facts and who can recite facts correctly? This seems like an educational philosophy that was rejected around the same time we rejected child labor. I mean, it just seems like, is that really a model of education people still go with? Of course, a judgment that's not based on good information, whether it's factual information or not, is a judgment that should be criticized and should not be assented to. But if a debate is just who has the most and best facts, then it's irrelevant for presidential race. Here's why. The president and people high in the administration, like the vice president, people like that, they have all of the information you could ever want and the best information you could ever want. And if they don't feel like they have it, they go get the person and bring them to the White House and have them brief them. Congress subpoenas people all the time to get the best information or the factual information. Facts are not scarce for someone who's president or at the highest levels of American politics. So I don't see how this would be. And there's no notes and no aides. So this is the least presidential thing that we could be looking at to determine who we should support for president. It makes no sense. Second is the persuasion model. Who persuaded? Who changed people's minds? Okay, the problem with this is, how do you measure that? And how do you know that the debate is the reason why people say they like Kamala Harris better than Donald Trump or vice versa? How do you know it was the debate? How do you know the debate did it? And there's not a good social science research model that the media deploys. We have polling, of course. Everybody loves polling, but polling always has this margin of error. Who do you think is going to win the debate, the presidential race? Who are you going to vote for? And they say this person. But is this an authentic change because of the debate? Or did the debate just reinforce what they already felt? Now, the communication research, of which, I've never seen one of these debate experts, refer to any of our communication research in the field, whether it's rhetoric, comm studies, persuasion studies, interpersonal, or media studies. They never cite one study. The studies are all in the same ballpark on this, which is these things don't persuade anyone to change their mind. What they do is they communicate to the person reasons why they're right already. So the debate, back to the question I asked earlier, why would a candidate agree to participate in something that they could lose and it would look devastating for them? It's because the campaigns know the data, and they know that the fact that the chance of someone changing their mind based on a debate is almost zero. So why do it? Well, it galvanizes your base. People who already like you are going to like you more after the debate. That's what the research indicates. Communication research indicates. There is some communication research out there that says the earlier you do a debate, the more chance you have of changing someone's mind. But that's only because the candidates we don't really know who they are. Now, that research might come into play here with Harris because she's a new candidate. I mean, kind of definitionally, right? Kind of a new candidate. Kind of pretty new. So maybe there's some research to be done on how this debate might be a little bit different. But generally, the research is pretty much all on the same page and says that these things do not persuade anyone. So it's not a traditional debate in that sense, if you think debate is meant to persuade people to do something, to vote or to change their mind on an issue or something like that. Very difficult to measure. So that's a difficult one to do, is how do I change the minds of the people who are for my opponent? The easy answer is you don't. You just try to get the people who are already on your side more on your side. And then there's the truth model. We're going to figure out what these candidates really believe. We're going to figure out what's really right. We're going to figure out what the best policy really is for the country. And if you go and look at epistemology, the study of knowledge, and modes of determining truth, you'll find that a 90-minute program with commercial breaks for Applebee's and Snickers and whatnot might not be the best model for determining the truth of anything. ABC News, CNN, are they really going to determine the truth, or are they going to determine what's perceived as an intensive, hard-nosed debate that really pushed on these people to really get them to admit what they really believe? It's almost like it's like drama more than it is truth. So if you really think a good debate is one that reveals the truth, well, I don't think any debate really reveals the truth. Even legal debates, where we, in the United States, we have this oppositional legal system. It doesn't work unless you have, a defense, some kind of a defense. And this is how justice is done, is we make sure that we see the whole truth of the thing. It doesn't really work perfectly, does it? It's always a little bit dissatisfying. There's always a kernel of doubt, or, that was the verdict, but, we all really kind of lost here. And so it doesn't go as far as it needs to go in society to really feel like we get to the truth. So these three ways of thinking of debate is I told the truth, I said the true thing, I revealed my heart to the audience. That doesn't really work in this format even. Persuasion model, how can you measure that? People vote for all kinds of reasons. And most and best facts, well, why are we even doing this? Debate is not about finding the facts. What is it about? What are we doing then? Let's think about an alternative here to how to, whoops, I grabbed the wrong thing. Let's think of an alternative here about how to, what to consider a debate, how to consider a debate. An opportunity to see what counts as reason is a nice definition, I think of. A debate's not who beat who won, who dominated who. This person totally spanked this other person, as people would say in like a video game context. How about an opportunity to see what counts as reason? These debates are for us. Now, Newton Minow, who I'm no big fan of, I think Newton Minow is wrong on so many things. He just passed away in May. He's the founder of the Commission on Presidential Debates, which is gone now. Where are they? They announced all these universities to host debates this year. This is going to be the only debate, apparently. Where is the Commission on Presidential Debates? They've just been eliminated from the equation. It's so sad. Newton Minow said the importance of these is to show people through the broadest possible medium what these two candidates stand for. So to him, the debate was always secondary, and I critiqued the hell out of him for that, and so did many other authors, including George Farah. I don't think Sidney Krause is a big fan of Minow's perspective, which is the debate is the front porch advertising to get them in the House. But really, the American voter is who benefits from these because they get to see the two candidates express what they are. And I'm a big fan of debate. I think having formal debates is very useful, even though they feel limited and there's a bit of a kernel of dissatisfaction. But that's the value of debate. That's why debates are so important to have. We could use this. Now, these events are meant for us, for the voters, for the audience. They're not meant for the journalists, and they're certainly not meant for the debate experts to tell us what to think. Those discourses are at the same level of your discourse about this, about your internal dialogue about how do I feel about this. You can say, okay, let me see what counts as reason for Kamala Harris. What's a good reason to do something? Let me see what counts as a good reason for Donald Trump. And then I can evaluate their judgment based on that. I could say, ooh, those reasons are really sloppy, or they never really detailed it enough. And so I can critique them for that. And that can be something I can hold in my head and say, okay, that's something I know about this candidate. Is that enough to vote for them or against them? Or is that enough for me to not want to vote for them and consider voting for one of their opponents? It's an opportunity to see how reason connects to reality. So for me, I like this one a lot because it shows you how the reality the candidates think is out there. How does that come from their reason? How do they reason about it? How did they come to these conclusions about what's most important in our country, what's most important in the world? That's another thing you can evaluate and be like, that's a weird way to put the facts and information together with a perception. That's weird. I don't know if I like that. Or you're like, wow, I really like how that candidate did that. I'm going to consider supporting them. It's an opportunity to see how they think the audience thinks. Now we're getting into the meta. Anything they say up there, they think it's going to motivate you to do something. It's a reason to support them. Anything they say, they think you're going to automatically agree with. So from that, we can kind of judge their model of audience, can't we? We can say, wow, they really have a very poor view of our capacity to think. They have a very poor view of our capacity to reason if they think that's going to get us to support them. And then finally, the most meta, is this an opportunity for us to reconstitute ourselves around belief and ideas? The value of debate is not finding out what's right or someone beating someone else because they can't respond to an argument or they don't have good evidence and they weren't able to support their claim so they lose. That's not the value of debate. The value of debate is that you hear your own ideas said by someone else differently, and it might cause a bit of discord inside you. Inside you, there are two wolves.
Oh.
The idea that you could be in disagreement with yourself and say, well, I used to like that idea, but now I've heard it out loud, I don't like it. This is where you get kind of into the psychology of this. Once you hear your ideas said out loud, you might not like them anymore. So it's an opportunity to reconstitute ourselves around beliefs and ideas that are important to our identity. So we might feel like our biggest identity is the immigration issue. We might feel like that's the most important issue. Once we hear both candidates speak to the immigration crisis, then we might say, oh, maybe I should think about that a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure that that's how I feel about it. And this is the value of living in a democracy and the value of having open debate and rhetorical events like this, even if it's not a debate, it's a big rhetorical event, is that there are opportunities to have different words around which one can constitute the self. And so you can reconsider your value and reconsider your position around these things, which I think is kind of a beautiful thing. I think that might be it. Here we go. So be careful of these debate experts out there. That's really the lesson here. I don't think any of them are worth really. I looked at some of that. It is embarrassing. Where are their sources? What scholarly conversation are they involved in? They're just saying their preferences, and there's a huge disconnect between what they do, which is plan tournament competitions of the weekend for high school and college students, and that doesn't translate to an ability to comment and critique on presidential debate, which has nothing in common from the debates that they do on the weekend. There's no correlation there except for the word debate. So it's the biggest equivocal fallacy in the world to give these people credit based on that and listen to what they have to say as some kind of expertise. It's a little ridiculous. So a lot of times when someone says someone won the debate, what they're doing is they heard their own preferences in a novel and interesting way. So they're projecting onto the way to think about it is they are watching themselves watch the debate and getting pleasure from seeing themselves the way they want others to see them, which is as a civically minded, engaged, critical, logical person, evaluating every claim and making sure they're not being duped by sophistry or logical fallacies and all this kind of nonsense. But really, they're just hearing their own preferences back. The campaigns are very well aware of this. They spend millions of dollars on this kind of analysis and this kind of study. And they know what kinds of things to say that will get people to turn the dial towards 9 in their mind towards a candidate when they're already at a 7 or 8. If they're already at a 1, they're probably not going to get above a 3 on turning the response dial, if you know what I mean, through this metaphor. But that's usually when they say, oh, I think they won, what they're usually saying is, I supported Donald Trump's politics before this debate. But the debate really convinced me he was right. He said the truth about that. But these are just ways of kind of talking in a 4 or 5 rebound way about their own ideas they had before the debate. They think they're agreeing with a new idea, but they're just catching a reflection of themselves and finding it beautiful. And that's really what's happening with a lot of this is I sound so good talking about why this person won. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this, but I want you to be very, very careful of this because it's a giant begged question fallacy to think that a debate coach can comment on a political debate of this magnitude and not have to cite any research, not have to bring any research in, just say, I thought. Well, what is that based on? What scholarship, what scholarly conversation are you involved in? You know, what studies have you done on how this stuff works? That's what really needs to be done when they bring in these expert interviews and stuff. It's pretty bad. So think to yourself, if debate were scored on a rubric, if it were really that easy to determine who won, why would any candidate agree to it? I'm gonna postulate that candidates agree because it's almost impossible to determine who won, and it's almost impossible to determine a loss. You can take anything that happened in that 90 minutes and make your person look great. You can cherry pick, and you can make somebody else look really bad. Oftentimes, instead of Trump's campaign making Trump look good, they'll try to make Harris look bad. And of course, Kamala Harris is a pro at this, taking every misstep and every weird thing Donald Trump says and making that the heart of his campaign. Again, why do candidates agree to debate in the first place? Why wouldn't they just run for the hills? If it were a real debate that really functioned like the weekend tournament debate, no candidate would do it. And the reason why is because they could really mess up and look dumb and really mess up and be bad. And they could be told by a formal judge, hey, you didn't read this evidence right. And no one wants a president who can't read evidence right. That's the doomsday proposition. So the more vague and the more general, the more likely candidates are to participate. That's why I like my rubric, just to toot my own horn from the last video. Here are the questions. If you haven't watched the debate yet, go watch it. I think it's worth watching. There might be something in there that, at least for the advantage of constituting yourself around new articulations of your views, that's a valuable thing. Framework. Who had the best worldview? Who described the world best, most accurately? Gave the best reasons for it, for that description. Who gave the best worldview? Who gave the best perception of what's going on in the world right now in our current situation? Principle. Who has the best method of judgment? Who has the most solid base values and things in their life that help them make that decision? What are those things they return to when they're trying to judge what's best for the country, what's best for America's role in the world? Vision. Who has the best plan? Who has the clearest plan, the most articulated plan? Who has the best concept of a plan, we might say? I think there's some really good one-liners from this that are going to be made fun of quite a bit in the comedy circuit. But that's another problem with rhetorical education is the debates are just the butt of a joke. These presidential debates, I think I can't think of one person who really considers them as serious events. And that's really sad for a country that's the great experiment in mass literacy and democracy. It's very sad to me. And action, who has the best record? Who's done the most? Who's had the most life experiences and done the things and has taken political or personal action that shows that they could really accomplish the vision and that they could really judge important crises the way they would on their principles, and that they really do have a sense of how the world is from the ground level, not from some ivory tower or from the floor to ceiling, beautiful floor to ceiling windows of some 65th story luxury apartment. Who's really in touch with the people? So that's you can look at those four and say, on every question, you can do this and say, Trump was better on these parts and Harris was not so good on these parts. And I think it gives you a lot of material to work with to help you make a good decision on who to support. I think if you wanted to use the debates that way, there is an argument out there that I think is compelling to toss the debates aside. If these are going to be valuable things that we are going to use in some way to help us decide who to vote for, then we should have some kind of rubric, and that's mine. Framework, principle, vision, action. Very simple. And you can look at any response. Maybe I'll do a video later on if you want. Let me know in the comments if you want, where we can go through one of these responses and I'll tell you, here's the vision part, here's the principle part, here's the framework part, here's the action part. And then you can kind of see how to use that to help disambiguate, my favorite word again, these debates. So that's all I really wanted to say. I didn't want to do too long of a video about that because there's so much to read and look at about these debates. But when you're watching these so-called debate experts talk about it, or anybody, any journalist talk about it, ask yourself, how do they figure that this is a debate? And what kind of debate is it? And what's the rubric? What's the way that they're determining whether someone lost or did a good job? What's the basis of that? Where are they getting that from? And does it translate? Does it actually come across? Otherwise, I think, unfortunately, a lot of times these, debate champion people are it's kind of like watching Aaron Rodgers talk about vaccines. It's a little cringy,
Oh.
Yeah. Actually, that's the good vaccine noise. Anyway, I'll see you next time, next video. Look for that connection and let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and what other videos you'd like to say. Goodbye, everybody.